Hello, everybody. Zon gets it 134 here.
And as always, I'm Ever Show Squad.
And welcome to another Hyphenated Reviews, the show where we look at new movies in not a lot of time. And you'll also forgive us if we keep this all brief. It's been a very long day. As this recording, today marks the passing of one Kevin Conroy, better known as Batman. We plan on actually doing a video later on in a couple days once we've had time to kind of process it.
It's admittedly still a little raw right now.
So then we decided to go watch a movie dedicated to someone who recently passed.
Yeah, so we went and saw Black Panther, which probably wasn't the happiest film we could have went and seen.
No. No, it couldn't.
And so to give you the abbreviated thoughts without spoilers that we always do at the beginning, I thought the film was really, really good. Admittedly, I haven't seen all of the first one. I've only seen bits and pieces of it.
Same, actually.
But I really, really enjoyed it. I like that it was something different. It wasn't just the kind of like right by numbers type superhero movie that we get a lot, and which granted me and Adam definitely enjoy every time.
Yeah, we can't get enough of cape shit.
I must say it's cape shit, but I really liked that this was something different. It was something that was very unique. I thought the film was shot very, very beautifully.
I was surprised how many silent moments where there was no like soundtrack.
Yeah, I was surprised how well they worked. Honestly. Yeah, like they worked really, really well.
They were very well done. It's a very moving piece, in my opinion. Very much about dealing with grief and loss. As this movie is basically a tribute to Chadwick Boseman, aka the actor who played T'Challa, who passed. I want to say it's been
almost 2 years.
Yeah, almost 2 years. Who, honestly, I could never picture anyone else playing T'Challa. He was pitch perfect the moment he stepped on as in Captain America 2 Civil War. Or not Captain America 2, Captain America 3 Civil War. And he was like there was no one else that I think fit that role as perfectly as he did.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I know there had been a lot of there'd been some like controversy with this. I know that basically behind the scenes stuff. I know that Sherry's actress was if I remember correctly, and I don't think this was ever substantiated officially, but
take this with a grain of salt.
This is what I had seen a lot in Reddit, okay? And to be fair, I saw this a lot, and a lot over a long period of time. I know that there was a lot of stuff where shooting had been pushed back a couple times. I know that she was, I believe, very, very much anti-vax.
Yeah.
I'm not going to dive into that because that's not what this show's about, and that's not what we do here.
It's a comedy show. We have fun here.
But I know that had delayed this a couple times, and I mean, to be fair, this entire phase, this wasn't the way it was intended to come out.
No,
in the first place.
As we've covered a couple of times,
stuff just getting moved around.
Yeah, like Doctor Strange in the
supposed to kick off everything.
Yeah, and then WandaVision, which then they had to heavily rewrite WandaVision.
Yeah, so it was nice to see this film come out and not see the quality of it diminished because of it. I thought this was a very, very strong piece.
Yeah,
certainly probably one of the stronger in the phase we've seen so far.
Yeah, I can agree with
my
that.
favorite is still No Way Home, obviously. But,
well, obviously.
I want to say this is very much on par for me with Multiverse, honestly.
Yeah, I would say
I think overall, though, I think it's a better film than Multiverse. I enjoy both of them pretty equally, but I think arguably this is a much better put-together film.
Yeah, well, for one, I don't think this needed to be as heavily rewritten as Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, this seems very much... It was a cohesive vision from beginning to end. Yeah, and I think that's what really helped it, was that it didn't really lose its focus at any point during the movie. No, it was a very much like right on target type writing that I think really helped. And I think that, like I said, I definitely think it was probably one of the stronger films in this phase. And I think a lot of people will probably see that. I admittedly stayed away from reviews of this today. I know there were some people in our sphere that went and saw it last night. for the preview showing, which I won't get into that. I don't like preview showings. I don't think that's fair. But I think a lot of people are probably going to be very, very happy with this and probably echo a lot of what we're talking about in terms of the cinematography, the writing, the acting. Overall, I mean, this basically fired on every single cylinder.
Yeah. Mostly the only things I've heard people complaints about is the look of Ironheart from the admittedly unfinished CGI, which
I didn't get, and we actually even talked about it during the credits. I don't get why this is a constant thing with people where we'll judge something's CG based on a trailer.
Yeah.
And we had actually, I actually think I brought up a good point, and when we talked about it in the theater, was that trailers are not meant to be a finished product.
No.
Trailers are meant to get you interested and get you hyped for something to come out. If you judge something purely based on the trailer, you're doing a disservice not only to the film, but to yourself. I mean, and because again, trailers will always have, especially Marvel. How many times have we had Marvel shoot something for a trailer and it's not even in the fucking movie?
Yeah, like a lot.
Or movies will use different takes of things in trailers. I brought that up to him with, I recently today had shown Riley the trailer for Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, in which I actually noticed that some of Mark's dialogue in the trailer is a different take. It's not the same thing in the film. I know because I know that film like front to back.
Well, I want to say one of the ones I noticed is the one where he says things are about to start popping. I feel like that
one's different.
Yeah.
The thing about giving this town a wedgie again, that is definitely a different take. So
I want to say the only one that is like the same is like when they have the "Hello Gotham, Joker's back in town."
That's the same. So that's an example. Never consider the trailer to be a finished product. If you do, you are a fucking idiot.
Now,
and I will say, I'm gonna be blunt with that. I'm tired of seeing that argument online. It's a fucking trailer. It's not finished. Quit being stingy with shit.
I mean, if you watch a trailer and you decide that the movie's just not for you,
that's different. But if you're just gonna sit there and bitch me like this looks awful and the CG, I'm like, it's not fucking done yet, jackass.
Yeah.
They tweak this shit up until a couple weeks before the movie comes out.
I'd also like to point out that whatever fucking budget you hear for a film, maybe like a fifth of that goes into CG. As someone who got really annoyed with that argument about She-Hulk and the CG and the budget on
that was where I was getting at with that. I got so tired of fucking seeing that. And it didn't even look that bad to me in the trailer. It didn't even look that bad. I've seen a lot worse. Hell, I grew up in the early 2000s. I'm looking at you, The Matrix. I'm looking at you, guy getting chopped in half during Blade, and it looks like a fucking PS2 game.
I mean, fuck.
Come on.
One of my favorite cartoons.
Quit bitching.
One of my favorite cartoons is Beast Wars, and as much as I love that show, the CG has not aged well.
I watch cartoons from the goddamn 60s.
Yeah.
It doesn't look that bad. You're just being fucking ridiculous. Chill out. It's a movie.
But...
Getting back on track.
We might have to just do a video where you and I can talk about like how movies are made.
I'm just so tired of seeing that.
No, I like that.
I'll take any hate on that too. I don't give a shit.
I don't give a shit.
I don't give a shit.
I can't stand that people act like they know how a goddamn movie is made just because they heard about a budget.
What did I say to you during the credits? People want to bitch about CG and they can't even draw a fucking house.
Yeah. Stuff about Bozeman aside, and I actually was really impressed by how they handled Namor.
Oh, I was too. I had a little bit of reservations because I saw that they were, and I'm just gonna say this because I don't think it's a spoiler. This has been, excuse me, this has been known since pre-movie. Mm-hmm. They changed his background. He's not Atlantean. He's actually based on I believe it was Maya.
Yeah, Mayan
related things, which I actually like in the context of this.
As do I.
I'm partially the comic purist in me is going to be mad because it's not totally 100%, but I don't think this affected the character negatively at all.
No, he's still Namor.
Yeah, he's still Namor. He acted exactly as he should. The actor knocked it out of the fucking
Oh my god,
park.
no, I love the actor for Namor.
Phenomenal performance. Especially from a guy who didn't know how to swim prior to getting the role, from what I've read, which I find fucking hilarious.
Although one thing, and this is a personal thing, they tried to make Namor as cool as he did, but every time they showed the wings on his ankles, credit where credit's due. I still enjoyed it. There were points where I'm like, you guys are trying to make him intimidating, and I give you credit.
But it's just not working.
Because of those fucking feet wiggies. Like, and to be fair, I'm not saying get rid of them, because
Oh, no, I find it amusing that they didn't make him a simp.
No,
If they had made him a simp, I don't know if I would have been able to not laugh.
No, like, when Shuri has him, like, on the ground at the end, spoilers.
I was waiting for him to be like, "You're magnificent." I was gonna fucking lose it.
I was waiting, like, the look on his face.
Like that scene in, I forget what run it was, where Sue married him to become Queen of Atlantis. And he that happened where he basically, he got beat by her and he was just like, "You stunning." And I'm like, simp. Complete simp.
The look on his face says, "I am frightened, but oddly aroused."
I'm sick and curious.
Then when he fucking said an ancient Mayan Imperious Rex, I was like, oh, bravo, you got him. You got what I wanted. Thank you.
Yeah, but overall, and I liked his design in this.
No,
really.
oh my
I
God.
thought he looked great.
No, I actually love the Mayan/Aztec look they gave the Atlanteans.
It looked great in my opinion. I can't obviously vouch for accuracy because it's a little out of my area of expertise. But it looks good to me.
It looks good, but the problem for me is I only know so much about Mayan, and I know a little bit more about Aztec. And they have very similar designs, so I'm not sure how much is which.
How much is which, and how much like is a little of this, a little of that.
Especially because like I don't know if like their idea of a serpent god is the same as Quetzalcoatl, which also was a thing in Aztec time. Which
again,
but
outside my area of expertise.
Yeah, like I said, I might be mixing hairs.
I don't even want to make a guess because I feel like I don't want someone to take me on my word.
Like I said, the only thing I'm saying is like we might find out later that they actually went more Aztec, but like,
well, I'm sure someone will analyze it. I'm sure we'll get some more information.
Given your thing about the Aztec or about them not being Atlanteans, to be fair, the way they did,
basically were though.
Yeah, like
I think it worked.
You could argue that, like, especially because he is ancient, that maybe they are kind of the reasons why we have the myths for Atlanteans. Especially because, like,
it could be. That's actually a good point. I didn't think of that.
Especially because, given that they have sirens in this movie where they hypnotize people into jumping into the ocean.
Which when those popped up, I was like, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah, no, I actually give them credit. I thought that what they were singing was the soundtrack until they went into the boat.
And did I. And then I was like, I get it.
It's sirens.
Yeah, I was like, that was ingenious way to introduce that.
I also really like that they brought in Namora this early. Although I could have sworn her name was Namorita, but
I'm not certain, and I don't want to guess.
No, that's fair.
I'm not certain. I'd have to go home and look it up.
But I'm just excited that they brought her in too.
We're gonna have to start bringing that encyclopedia with us when we get these films.
Yeah, and low key, speaking of simping, I know she's mostly CG. She was really hot, and I like the outfit she. I was like, oh, hello. And then they called her Namora, and I'm like, oh!
Adam, we're not going to see the next Avatar movie. I hope you're aware of that. I wanted to make that joke so bad near the end.
Yeah.
I was like, man, Avatar 2 looks fucking great.
Great, yeah.
I wanted to, but I was...
Which, speaking of, we got that trailer, and man, I don't give a shit.
We're not going to review that. Don't ask for it. Don't ask.
You want to review?
I'd rather review the Korean War movie with you.
Yeah.
And probably have no clue what the fuck was going on.
Yeah,
you have a better chance of seeing that on this show.
Yeah. But no, I think it worked giving them that look because it helps show, like, you know, with Wakanda they have like the African tribal mixed with the technology. And so here we have
something else that's kind of like the opposite end of the sphere.
Yeah. To the point where, you know, where they have like Wakanda Forever, they do Kamehameha waves as for whatever they pronounce
yeah. Like I thought that worked.
Every time they did that, I was like, "Oh, he's doing a Kamehameha wave."
I was somewhat reminded of Dragon Ball Z, and I fucking hate you for that, by the way.
To be fair, I wish I could get credit for that. That was a meme that I saw out of context.
No, I know, but so real quick, before we dive into anything with some real depth, you know, obviously spoilers ahead. I'm gonna give it 8.5 out of 10. I'm not too big of a Black Panther guy, so. It might be a little low compared to what some people do.
Yeah.
But like we've said before in the show, giving a 10 out of 10 is hard on this show because it has to be something real spectacular.
Yeah,
and to be fair, I'm also inherently biased towards stuff that I really like for 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But I think 8.5 out of 10. Like, this movie was great. I really enjoyed it. It's not heavy hitting with the lore. Like, it doesn't smack you over the head with it, which I like and enjoy. Like, I like when they do the deep cut stuff, or a little bit deeper than what most people know.
Yeah.
But I like when they're not so heavy-handed with it. And I think this film balances that really well, where they'll explain stuff, but they won't over-explain it to you like you're a fucking idiot.
I think I'll agree with you with the 8.5 out of 10. This is a very stunningly beautiful piece. I would give it a 9, but I don't want to, given my feelings about how much this was a tribute to Boseman, I don't want that to overbalance what my feelings were for this film. But overall, this is a very stunning and very well done movie, not just as a tribute to Boseman and T'Challa as the Black Panther, but it's a very powerful piece about, like, grieving and trying to move forward. And yeah, it's very well done. This is not a big spoiler, but I'm kind of glad they didn't set up the next movie at the end with a second credit scene.
Yeah, I kind of am glad of that as well. I think having the little subtle at the end, Black Panther will return, was enough.
Yeah. And I think it would have been tacky if they had, like, they do set up stuff in this for the Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
But thankfully, it's not like a big, hey, we're setting stuff up. It was just naturally in there, and you could probably do the movie without, but they clearly needed to do that. But like I said, I'm just glad that it's honestly probably one of the best Marvel films to watch in a vacuum, if I'm honest, aside from being tied to Black Panther 1.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to do spoilers?
Yeah, so from this point on, guys, spoilers are free game. If you haven't seen the film and you don't want spoilers, hit the X up here in the corner, or hit the back button up here.
Yeah.
Hell, put something in the search field up on top.
So I don't think either of us expected Killmonger to show up in this movie.
No, I had not seen anything about that at all.
No.
So they kept that under wraps really well.
No, the moment he said "sup, cuz," I was like, "Oh shit!"
I was like,
"Fuck,
it's him! He's back!"
So, the plant that Black Panther used in the first film got destroyed when he took over as King of Wakanda. So Shuri had been trying desperately to recreate it, especially leading into Black Panther's death, which they don't say what T'Challa's death was, just that he had
been sick.
He had been sick, which
I think was probably the best way they could have done it. They didn't make it something totally over the top. They didn't make it something that was exactly the same as what happened to Chadwick in real life. But I think it worked perfectly the way they did it. They gave a reason, but they didn't dive all the way into the depth. They didn't use it as a plot device.
Yeah, and it's like, it's straight up the beginning part of this film up until the Marvel credits, like, you know, where they show the Avengers and they usually play the theme.
I admittedly missed part of it. We were in the theater and, like, a group of, I guess they were like kids, like teenagers.
I don't know.
They were they were talking like all the way through the trailers, and then the movie started and they were still going. So, like, I had to get up and go get the manager and basically be like, you need to come tell them to stop. Because why go to a movie if all you're going to do during the movie is talk? Wait for that shit to come on Disney Plus then if you want to do that. The rest of us paid, like, what? How much?
$20.
$20 between us to go see this after, like, an 8-hour shift. I don't want people talking in the movie, period. I want you to shut the fuck up and watch the film. Yeah. That's what normal fucking people do. Especially I've got ADHD. I couldn't fucking focus with that shit going on.
Yeah. Credit to the movies, though, for the movies in Meadville for dealing with that very quickly.
Yeah, very professionally.
But basically, after that, they show usually the Marvel thing where instead of this, it's just images of Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa with no music, which I do think sets the tone for this film very well. But basically, she uses the the herb, which I can't remember its name, but basically it allows her to commune with the god that gives Black Panther their powers. I believe it's actually Bast.
Yeah, it's Bast.
Yeah, as Egyptian cat, Africa. That, like I said, my knowledge of Black Panther is very small, but
I know a little bit from that Myths and Legends book that I read, just about just the mythology involved with it.
Because Black Panther does have superpowers. It's just because usually he has a impenetrable vibranium suit. You don't really notice it very much. But she uses it to try and get get the powers of the Black Panther, as well as communing with her ancestors, hopefully her mother or T'Challa. And instead, she gets Killmonger, which very well sets up the climax of the film. Basically, him talking about how really she wants revenge against Namor for killing her mother. And it's a really
intense scene. Very intense.
Which also I actually love how they played up her being able to connect to her ancestors at the end when her mother comes and says, when she has Namor dead to rights, show him who you really are, and she spares him. Which I was surprised, but at the same time, I knew they were going... there's no way they were going to kill Namor off in this movie. Although she almost kills him. She comes pretty close.
That end fight scene was brutal. I mean, there were some parts during that where I was like, oh God. I was like, oh, fuck.
Oh, no, when she digs her claws into his back, and I'm like,
The thing with the spear was what got me. I was like, oh God, that would actually fucking hurt.
Yeah.
It's like trying to pull an arrow out of you. If you ever seen movies where people pull arrows out, it's like, oh.
I think the closest I've ever seen was an episode of Kamen Rider where the main character gets impaled through the shoulder, and he had to. Only he didn't break it off. He literally pulled himself the entire length of that spear before he got out.
I remember back in the day reading a Star Wars fanfic with something similar, where someone was so deeply down in the dark side with the secret force techniques that basically they got stabbed with a lightsaber, and they were doing that, going up and down it as this doesn't fucking hurt me, which was I was like, oh fuck, no thanks.
Yeah, no,
hell no, that's like some. To quote the boys, oh hell no, hard pass on this Exorcist shit. Hard fucking pass.
That or when she ripped off one of Namor's ankle wings.
That one got me. I was like, oh God.
Especially because
oh fuck.
For reference, what medical knowledge I have, you have a major vein in your ankle.
It's like he didn't bleed out.
Well, I mean, granted, given his his superhuman consistency, it probably wasn't as bad, but also I think this is the first confirmation of an actual mutant in the MCU. I mean, I know they kind of
major film, yeah.
Yeah, they said Kamala was, but
then the one that was in Black Widow during the prison break.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
He's actually the first one. They don't straight up say it, but yeah, he's the first one.
Well, I mean more the first outright stating that he was a mutant.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Which I was like, oh, he's just gonna say it in the film. Okay. But yeah, that I was, but no. Your thoughts on Killmonger in that scene?
Like I said, I admittedly haven't seen the first film, but I have seen clips of him, and I mean, he turns in a fucking spectacular performance.
No,
and I mean, it was the same thing here. The minute he shows up, the whole feeling and mood of the scene just turns basically, and I really like that. I like when an actor is able to just take the scene and totally change it just by them being in it.
It was haunting. I also have to give this film credit. It actually made me give a shit about Riri Williams, aka Ironheart.
Somebody that I've heard him complain about comics-wise. So, when we went into this, I was like, this is going to be a 50-50. He's either going to like how they changed this, or he's going to hate her even more.
So, okay, for the record, I'm not one of those people that instantly hates a character when you change their race. However, I'm one of those people that if you're going to take up the mantle of a different hero, you do have to earn it regardless of who you are, because that that is a mantle. You don't just take a mantle like that. If you
like Miles earning the mantle
of Spider-Man, or Jaime Reyes earning the mantle of the Blue Beetle, or Sam. Well, actually, to be fair, admittedly, when Sam became Captain America, I was like
Nightwing earning being Batman for a period.
Yeah, like that is not something you just take up, like especially if you're not prepared to deal with it. And normally, Marvel is very good at that, in my opinion. Like, I usually like that.
But when it came to the comics, you feel that it was the opposite. It wasn't done right.
Like, for one, they wanted her to be Iron Man, which I'm like, if you wanted a black Iron Man, why didn't you just make Rhodey Iron Man again? The other was that, like, I've heard stuff where, like, and admittedly, it's bits and pieces. I've seen that, like, say,
I know her and Valeria have gone at it a couple times.
Like, she stole Stark's tech originally, and tried to claim it as her own. They've not written her very well.
But you feel that with this movie, it was the opposite.
No, with this movie, like, they actually, like, I can see where she, like, emulates Tony.
But it's not like a direct copy paste.
No, I think it helps that her armor looks completely different than Tony's, which, admittedly, I've seen that, like, they've gotten better with her. Like, I think she's a part of the Champions now, and I think she's actually found a bit more of a place and footing.
Yeah.
And here they actually made me really like her. Like, I really, really, really liked her. She, like, for one, I like her armor design. That armor is really cool. Yeah. I actually like how they made it, like, not just the heart shape for her, like, her arc reactor, but, like, with her shoulder pauldrons, it makes her look like she is shaped like a heart. Like, so, like, they really leaned into the Ironheart thing.
Yeah.
I actually think they did better with explaining her backstory, like, and just having, like, her wanting to build a suit of armor. It just worked a lot better here. It might have been also that, like, she's not nearly as ingrained into Tony Stark's legacy, and they didn't try to hammer you over the head with her being smarter than Tony, which isn't that hard considering the shit Tony has done in the last several decades.
Yeah, which like I said, I know that, for me being an FF fan, I know that, like I said, I know in the comics there's been debate on who's smarter, her or Valeria, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's Valeria.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm not going to be mean, but that's Valeria.
Like, considering Valeria was
talking full sentences at, like, 3.
Yeah, well,
and was like, we're talking, like, being able to completely understand everything Reed is saying.
Yeah.
And then actually hold a conversation and a dialogue with him. It's Valeria. I'm sorry, this isn't open for debate.
Well, and considering I find her smarter than Reed, who, let's be honest, is the smartest person in the Marvel Universe, regardless of his stupidity.
You mean Valeria, right? We're still talking Valeria?
Yeah.
You think Valeria's... Okay.
I think Valeria's smarter than him or Doom. Like, the only other person that I think can hold a candle to Reed.
Yeah.
So, like, and if I think that Reed is smarter than Tony, there ain't no way Riri is smarter than Valeria. I'm going to agree with you.
Yeah, it's one of those things. You always see people argue about that kind of shit on fucking internet.
Like, I try to keep my opinion on Riri to myself because I know that there was a lot of hate for that character when she first came out.
And whereas you're at least being constructive with it, there's people out there that aren't.
Like, because, like, when she first came out, there's like, oh, she's smarter than Tony and all this stuff. And then I found out she stole his stuff. I'm like, well, that's not really smart. That's just being a thief.
Yeah. But, any other thoughts on anything in the film that really stood out to you as, like, a highlight or... I don't think I had any negatives throughout the film.
No, I didn't either.
I usually will at least find like 1 or 2 spots where I feel like the plot drags, but I don't think any of that happened during this.
No, this is
not to my eyes at least.
No, I do think it was kind of rough how much Wakanda suffered at the end, especially given their army was almost completely wiped out.
Yeah,
but no, overall, I thought it was very, very well done. We are kind of probably going to wrap up here, but I want to discuss the very end, the scene we got after the song. And this is a very big spoiler. So if you guys want to back out here,
even with the spoilers we've talked about, I would really recommend, again, X up here, back button, search bar, related videos. Hell, pause it and go in the comments section.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever there. You got full. Take a seat.
So basically, Riri was doing this ritual that her mother wanted her to do at the beginning of the film, where she burns her mourning clothes so that she can. It's kind of like a way of saying the period of mourning is ended, and I need to start moving forward. Basically, this Wakandan that was in Central America, who I guess was tied to T'Challa, because I haven't seen the whole movie full, but I guess she was like his lover at some point, because she reveals that she had a son with T'Challa, and his name, well, he has a Haitian name. His Wakanda name is T'Challa, implying that he is technically also an heir to the throne of Wakanda. And yeah.
Yeah, that was a big thing. I looked at him, I'm like, is that in the comics, dude? Like,
which I don't know. The only marriage I know that T'Challa had was
the Storm.
Was to Storm. And I don't believe they had children.
No, they don't. Storm's never had kids. Adopted kids, that's a little different.
Yeah, like but yeah, that was very intense and very moving, like, given that Shuri thought she had lost everything, but actually she hadn't, in a way. But yeah, that scene blew me away. I couldn't believe that they did that, but I think it works given how they.
Yeah, that definitely works, and it stays very much within the tone the movie set, which I think makes it a little more powerful.
Yeah, and I also think it shows that, even though T'Challa is gone, he will one day return. It may not be Chadwick Boseman, but Black Panther will return, basically. So yeah, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I think we covered everything pretty well. I mean, it's kind of late, also.
Yeah.
So we might have had some other thoughts to bring out if it had been a little earlier.
And also, given the day we had it, I'm more impressed that we managed to.
My nerves were just shot basically the whole day.
Yeah. So yeah, guys. That was Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I'm sure most of you are going to go see it regardless of our thoughts, anyways. But I really do recommend seeing it, especially if you were a fan of the first film. You won't be disappointed, and I think maybe if something like this has happened to you recently, or you've lost someone close to you this year, I think it's a good watch to kind of feel through your feelings, especially if like you lost someone close to you. Yeah. Anything? So yeah, guys, that was our review. We got some more stuff coming down the pipe. Spidey Miss is coming up in a month, so look forward to that. Until then, guys, I am Zongetsu134.
As always, I'm Average Show Squad.
And as always, we ask you,
remember the hyphen?
And take care.